All right, that said, let me introduce our first speaker and we'll get the show started. He is the manager of corporate partnerships for America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. He's now in his third year with the Cowboys. He's responsible for managing key corporate partnership accounts for the club. He assists with procuring new business, fostering day-to-day partner relationships, executing existing partnership marketing programs, and much more. You'll find out when you get in the workplace that other duties as assigned gets rolled up into your job, trust me, and he can tell you about that as well. Since he's been with the Cowboys, they've led he helped, along with his team, lead the strategic partnership marketing efforts to open the club's new $1.5 billion world headquarters at the Star in Frisco, Texas. The Cowboys, by the way, are the big dogs in the NFL. They have led the NFL in sponsorship revenue for 10 consecutive years. Before working for the Cowboys, he interned with the Houston Texans. He's originally from the Lone Star State, a graduate of the University of Texas. Please welcome Hunter Harvin.
How are we doing, guys? Good. That's how Coach Garrett starts every meeting. He asks how we doing. If he doesn't get the response he likes, he elicits the prompt again. So I'm glad y'all are awake. I think they chose me to go first because I'm not too far away from y'all's shoes after a Thursday night. Coming here on a Friday morning, I'm privileged to be here, and thank y'all very much for the opportunity to speak. It's definitely humbling. Like when you hear Tom, speak about kind of what your job responsibilities are, it's kind of weird to look yourself in the mirror and hear that, because I was sitting in y'all's shoes not too long ago. Got to meet Dr. Pappas and Dr. Flanagan. Thank them for having me out here, but got to meet them about a year ago when we were at AT&T Stadium, and a group of y'all came on your trip. I just got to sit up on a panel and kind of shoot the bull and tell y'all a little bit about myself and kind of my story, and I guess it stuck and got invited back out here. So I don't have any ties to FSU, but I think I do now. I love this place, it's pretty cool, so thanks for having me. But just to tell y'all a little bit about myself, I think it's important that y'all get to know me, first of all. That way you'll kind of understand why I'm telling you what I do in the partnership world. And basically the goal here is that tell you a little bit about myself. You kind of learn from my path. I can tell you a 30,000 foot view of sponsorships, right? And we kind of land the plane, and hopefully you'll get something out of it. I think whenever you have speakers like this, you can kind of take it with a grain of salt. I can give you a lot of information, and it may go in one ear and out the other. And you're going to spend your careers, and you're going to spend internships, and you're going to learn from a lot of people. But hopefully you get one or two nuggets, and I'd love to talk to y'all afterwards. At least, hopefully instill a little bit of wisdom that people have instilled in me. So, my path, born and raised Dallas, Texas. I never really left. I have stayed in Texas just about my whole adult life, all 26 years. I went down to school at the University of Texas, Austin. I studied advertising down there. And then my first kind of job, if you will, out of college was an internship with the Houston Texans. And I made my way back to Dallas, right? So I haven't really left a whole lot, which is very unique in sports. It's kind of that unicorn story. Most people are kind of all over, and I'm sure you'll see that at the networking fair a little bit more. So I think it's really important as y'all begin to start your career in sports or continue it, that you learn how to tell your story, right? Because people love to talk about themselves. I'm up here with a mic, and I can talk for hours. And I'm sure if any of y'all have been on a first date, that you kind of know telling your story and selling yourself is really important, right? Like you can sit there and someone can flatline and you're just like, God, get me out of here. I'm texting my friend, I'm like looking on Instagram when they go to the bathroom, and you can't wait for it to be over. But being able to tell your story and like your career path is important. So I was 18 years old, just kind of fresh out of my freshman year of college, and I wanted to work in sports. I was a slow white kid who played football, but I love football. Like, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. Growing up in Texas, it's king there. And so I started off at PPI Marketing, this kind of small town agency. Got to do a lot, kind of 8-person shop, small, and had a lot of fun. That's where I really cut my teeth to start. Went back down to school. I told you I was an advertising major, and I interned at a small boutique ad agency in Austin. I'm a little more corporate. I've had the same haircut since I was like 6 years old, and Austin is different, right? It's kind of like college town here, like in Tallahassee. The capital's there, and then there's Texas football, which I was there during the dark ages. We were not good. So I went down there, I interned at a small ad agency, and I figured like, hey, I don't really like advertising in kind I really want to work in sports. That's what I love. So reached out to the people at PPI, and then they connected me with some people at Circuit of the Americas. They were building this awesome racetrack down in Austin for Formula One. So CODA, as they call it, I was fortunate enough to be given an opportunity. They were starting up kind of their business, if you will, in general, and was given the opportunity to go intern as a corporate partnerships intern. So that was my first experience in corporate partnerships. I was a sophomore in college, and I probably did a little too much sophomore college stuff rather than working. So my first kind of advice to you is if you really want to pursue this, pursue it with all you got. Like, don't be the guy who shows up who hasn't shaved, the girl who hasn't done her hair. Presentation is big. And I got sat down by my supervisor probably like 2 months in. I was like, what are you doing? Like, do you actually want to be here? And her name was Channing, and I have a great relationship now, but she kind of said like, hey, she gave me kind of like a slap on the back to like get it going. Circuit of the Americas, right, was a connection from PPI. Kansas City Chiefs, I tell this kind of with bated breath a little bit. My mom, she taught the Hunts kids, Clark and Tavia Hunt, who own the Kansas City Chiefs, Lamar Hunt's son. And I say this because some of y'all probably have connections places, but you're a little kind of nervous to use them. I'm the type of person who wants to work for everything I have, right? I want to go crush it. Use every resource you have. The person who I worked for and directly reported to at the Chiefs, the manager of corporate partnerships, what I am now, she hated me when I started. And she'd tell you that. She works with Bears now. Her name is Maggie. Maggie's like my greatest advocate, my biggest fan, and someone I look up to immensely. But she hated me because she was like, hey, you're a must hire. Like, you came with a recommendation from the owner. But I think what I'm trying to tell y'all is use every connection you have. But Maggie loved me by the end because I went and worked for it with all I had. Okay? Coming out of the Chiefs, I was junior, going into my senior year, and some of y'all may feel this way, but you sacrifice a lot in sports. You sacrifice your time, you sacrifice energy, you sacrifice friendships, family, as kind of Kevin alluded to yesterday. And I came back down to Austin, and I was fortunate enough to get a job with the D-League team there, the Austin Spurs. So when all my friends were going out on Thursday nights, I was setting up tables on the concourse for people to come by and say hello and talk about season tickets to a D-League team. Not the most fun when all your boys are, telling you, hey, yeah, this party's great, we're having a ton of fun, and I'm there shaking hands with people, that I don't even know, probably not going to stay at the Spurs, right? But it trains you to be willing to sacrifice, right? From there, I probably applied to 100 jobs. Like Teamwork Online, everybody been on there? Yeah, probably 100 jobs. My emails, when I just applied, my applications probably just went straight to the bottom of the stack, like you and 200, 500, 1,000 other people, okay? You gotta know someone. So I kind of took the connections I'd made and was fortunate enough to be offered a job at the Houston Texans as corporate partnerships intern for a year. So I was like, hey, I'm all in, I'm gonna do that. Been working in sports, want to stay there. So went to Houston, lived with grandma, all right? Like, some of y'all are like, oh man, like I'm gonna go crush it in sports, or like you don't really want to go move back home with family. Like, I lived with my grandmother for a year. Most rewarding experience of my life. Taught me like to have a servant's heart and like literally kind of change my perception on what I was gonna do in my life. Take everything with a grain of salt and work through it. It's not always the most fun, right? So these pictures, the Chiefs had like, a little too baggy of a shirt. But those are two people that I interned with. Then here at the Texans, the other guy that I interned with, right? These are relationships that you build kind of along the way. Out of these kind of people I made friends with, I'm the only one that still works in sports. This guy works in medical sales. She works for a poultry company that does sponsorships up in Kansas City. He works in IT, okay? Proudest moment was when I got to shed that polo and actually put on a suit for game day. That was pretty exciting. You're not sweating anymore like you are, you're still hustling the same, but got to have my mom, my stepdad, my aunt, and my uncle come down on the field, right, and take a picture. Like, those are the moments you work for. And those moments will come. You're gonna wear the polo a lot, you're gonna wear the khaki pants, you're gonna look like a softball coach, it's gonna be kind of weird, not like the most fun thing in the world. But those moments when when you're standing down there on the field and you got a suit and tie and you're 10 minutes from kickoff and your parents are around you and your family, people who've like fostered and been there for you, like take those moments in. Don't take them for granted because they're short, but they're really sweet and you gotta live on those. Kind of a philosophy that I've had through work is playing poker, right? So this is one of those things where like, you take a nugget out of here, awesome. Who really cares about my story? You'll be able to tell your story soon someday. Playing poker, okay? Who's here's played poker? Right? Okay, yeah. I mean, hopefully there's no degenerate gamblers, but so I've got a buddy. His name's Caleb, and Caleb loves blackjack, right? Blackjack's just like a numbers game, right? But you can sit there and you just flip cards all day. Okay? There's gonna be people in life who are your friends who get really lucky. People get on a heater at blackjack. Y'all ever seen the movie Hangover? You know, dad's like, never walk away from a heater, right? Like, there's gonna be people who do that and like they just shoot like off into the sunset and like they're crushing it in life. And you're just gonna be like, why isn't that me? Why am I not getting the breaks? Why am I not, you know, able to ascend as quickly as I want to? Or like, why does someone else have a different kind of business acumen than I do, or kind of a different mindset, right? So I say playing poker, okay? And this is just kind of like a little bit of a, you know, 5-step bullet of kind of a philosophy I have in kind of business and life. When I started and I showed y'all like, hey, this is kind of my path, dude, I was sitting at a table with, you know, people in sports, and I didn't have an ace up my sleeve. You know, I didn't have any chips to play with. You gotta find people that are willing to back you. Give you a little bit of something to play with, right? Anytime that you've given a friend money, or anytime like you're playing poker and someone's like, hey, will you spot me? Give me a marker, right? You're like, sure, but like you're gonna pay me back, right? You're gonna take interest on it. You're gonna be like, hey, give me a little something. People will give you that if you ask. People are more willing to help than not, okay? So be willing to ask, but don't go squander what they give you. Like, nobody likes to see someone, you know, give them something and they just go throw it all away. That's one of the most frustrating things in the world. You're like, why am I even trying, you know? Show them you can double down. Everybody likes to get paid back. I have, you know, people like Maggie from the Bears or people like Lacey from the Texans who I worked for, and they love seeing when you have success, right? And ultimately, they want to kind of ride that wave with you. Like, have y'all heard that, like, you know, all boats rise with high tides? Right? Like if someone's helped you kind of push your boat out to sea, like pay them back and like literally go crush it to the point where they're like, man, I'm really glad that I gave them that chip to play with. When you're playing poker, I'm sure y'all have seen it on like ESPN, right? They all kind of like, you know, hide their cards and they all wear sunglasses or have some crazy hat or like they've got something about them. And it's all kind of about distractions or how can I not show my hand or not show my tell. In this room, I mean, there may be 100 people. Like, you can't worry about what the other person next to you is playing. You have to play your hand. You have to play the hand you're dealt. If you start thinking, hey, you know, gosh, that person's, you know, probably got a better hand than me, or you start worrying about other stuff, you're already screwed. You know, you have to play the hand you're dealt, and you just have to worry about like what's out there. Like, what other cards can I play to make my hand better? Okay. When the time's right. When I wanted to go work for the Cowboys, I wanted to go back home. Man, I called every connection I had. Like, I reached out and I said, hey, this is what I want. Don't be the boy who cries wolf and like just wants a job and reaches out again and again and again. People don't have time for that. Take your chips, pull them all together and be like, all right, I'm in, and go do it. And then lastly, share your winnings and pay it forward. Same way someone gave you chips, same way you like to have people give you a little sugar every now and then, pay it forward, do that for other people. The reason I'm standing here is because I actually just love the next generation of people in sports. I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool that sports is kind of a little fraternity of people who just get it. Like they're just kind of cut from the same cloth and they just enjoy being around one another. And you just want to give that back. So another actionable items. In terms of when you reach out to people and try to network, let's follow this, okay? So I know you have pen and paper in front of you. One of my least favorite things is getting an email or getting asked for a job at the Cowboys or my mom's friend from Bunko Group saying, hey, I've got a son who would love to work in sports. How do I do it? Okay? This is gonna be your email structure. You're gonna say, hey, Hunter, blah, 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 you're so great, I love you, you're the greatest thing in the world, right? Make me feel good. You know, everybody loves to like be buttered up. Anytime that y'all have like whispered sweet nothings in your significant other's ear, like you get a little butterfly and they feel really good, right? If you want something, you probably start off with that before you go ask your mom for money, or you say like, hey, I need help with this. You probably put a little glaze on it, right? So start with that. How do you know me? You find me on LinkedIn, you know my mom, you know my cousin's sister's boyfriend, like, why are you emailing me? What do you actually want from me? Okay? Like, don't just send me 16 paragraphs of, you know, how great you are and what's all good. Like, what do you actually want? How can I help you? And then, why do you want it? Like, do you just want to work in sports and work for the Cowboys because you can, like, talk to players? I don't know. Give me a baseline, like, hey, my goal is to do this, and here's my pursuit, okay? And then stay in touch with me. Like, I hate getting emails and spending time. I try to talk to people as much as I can. Usually spend that time kind of on the drive home from work. Dallas is about 45 minutes from Frisco, where our headquarters is. And I'll typically just call people on the way home if they want to talk to me. I'll spend 45 minutes talking to them. I hate when I spend that 45 minutes, that person never follows up with me. Out of this room of 100 people, I was telling some guys last night, like there'll probably be 10 of y'all that actually follow up with me. And there'll be one, singular, that actually builds a relationship with me. I don't say that to like put y'all down. I say that to challenge you. Like the Maggies, the Lacey's, the people that I talked about who are my mentors, like there's a reason that they invested in me. It's because I stayed in touch with them. Kevin kind of talked about that yesterday. Additionally, last night we're standing at the bar, we're having fun. Like, you can't always just talk business. And I know that y'all always kind of want to get nuggets and understand how to work in sports. But, you know, build a relationship. I'm a real person. The people above me who worked in sports, who are 40 years old plus, like, they're real people. They like to have actual conversations about things like their kids, and they like to have a beer and, you know, enjoy one another. And then lastly, kind of work style and culture. After kind of interning as many times as I have, I've seen different cultures. And you gotta find what's right for you. Like just because the Cowboys are great at sponsorship and it's this big shiny toy, it may not be the right place for you to start out your career and succeed. So test the waters, figure out, you know, where you can succeed, and then go crush it. These are three kind of topical advices that our executive vice president of the Cowboys gave me, and they kind of change throughout your career. But find a job that makes you happy and proud, okay? Nothing in this life is worth it unless you're actually happy. If you hate your job, why are you doing it, okay? Work for people that are going places, want to take you with them. Ride the coattails of good people. You're not going to get anywhere just by yourself. Like, no one just goes and puts their nose to the grindstone and just makes it happen, okay? You got to have people that foster your career. And then find a job that rewards you for your hard work. You're going to work really hard in sports, and at first it may be like, hey, you get to go to a Super Bowl party, right? You may get access to tickets. Very rarely at the start is it going to be monetarily rewarding, but eventually that'll happen. But kind of throughout your career, you gauge those, and they can change order, right? But those are the three things that you really need to focus on. Here are a couple emails. Going back to what we just talked about, this is a terrible email. Do you think I have time to read this? I have 32 corporate partnerships that I manage day to day. Holy hell. I mean, let's talk about subject line number one. Like, that is way too long. I don't care. Like, send me a note, like, your name, want to connect. Okay, great. I know what you want. Right off the bat. This. Dear Mr. Harvin, I love the professionalism. Like I said, be people you like. Like, this guy doesn't know me, so I get the Mr. Harvin, but my name's Hunter. Mr. Harvin's my dad. Okay? Like, I'm 26 years old. If you knew anything about me, you would have looked at LinkedIn and seen that and probably been able to relate to me a little bit better. Like, ever since I attended my first NFL game as a 6-year-old, dude, personal anecdote, why? Like, stop. Don't be this guy. this paragraph maybe can work. Let me show you a good one. This guy reached out. He wanted a job at the Texans. I had an intern there. Got connected through a mutual friend. Morning, Hunter. Hope you had a good holiday weekend. Heard nothing but great things from our mutual friend Chandler about you. Know you're crushing in Dallas. Ego stroke. Wow, that makes me feel good. You know someone I know. You tell me you're crushing it. Sweet. I'm writing because I wanted to let you know that I've gone through a fun interview with the Texans. Awesome. I know where you are in the process. I know what you're doing. Now I've been selected to participate in group interviews. Awesome. I can help you. I know where you are. I know what you're doing. Since you're a former Texans intern, blah, 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 y'all can have this presentation and look at it. Keep it short, sweet, simple. Love it. I reply to that. I talk to the guy. He gets the interview, and the next stage, he gets the job. Is it sponsorship or partnership? So let's talk a little bit more about my actual job field, right? So that's kind of like career networking 101, take it for what it's worth. Sponsorship, I think, is a bad word. I think partnership is what you want to be saying. And I've worked at places, they call it partnership marketing, corporate partnership, corporate sponsorship, sponsorship department, you name it, right? I use the baseball outfield wall kind of as an example. When you're sitting there and you're looking out at a outfield wall and you see all these billboard type things, what does that do for you? That's kind of how sports sponsorship kind of started. It's like, hey, let's put a logo out there, right? That is not what I do, okay? And if you think that's what sports sponsorship is, then I would suggest that you talk to more people and try to understand what it is, because sports sponsorship and partnership are two different things. Partnership drives revenue, okay? And that's what companies and organizations are looking for. Can y'all tell me, anybody want to raise their hand, be brave at 9:30 in the morning, talk to me a little bit about like a sponsorship that you've interacted with? Anybody got anything? I put the example of like looking under a cap for code. Who's ever done that? You have? Yeah? Did you like create brand affinity through that? Did you start using the product more? Did it give you a rewarding thing that you liked?
Well, it was really university.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of like sponsorship in my mind, right? It's transaction. Gives you a little bit of access maybe, but it doesn't build a lasting brand affinity. Sponsorship create impressions, partnerships create emotional capital. Okay? Say that again. Sponsorships create impressions, eyeballs, visuals, numbers, statistics. Partnerships create emotional capital. Pepsi helps you get to Cowboy Stadium and have the best time of your life with your son. Wow. How did you do that? There's tickets, there's some type of interaction, there's some type of in-market campaign that the Cowboys do with Pepsi, helps you have access to, going to the game, and you will never forget the game with your son. Okay? Now, it's a compiled effort, right? Where you take different assets and kind of mix them together. Bake a cake, right? You take your eggs, you take your flour, you take whatever it may be, and you make a cake at the end of the day. Well, that cake's a lot better tasting than just eating a raw egg. Yeah. And ultimately, sponsorships and partnerships are different, but the goal overall of your department is to drive revenue. You got to remember that. Like, bottom line is key. You got to have reward and over-deliver for your partners, but you got to make money, right? That's your goal. So remember that. Show y'all a little bit of a video here. This is part of the reason I think that Jerry Jones went in the Hall of Fame. Partnership with Nike and Phil Knight.
He and Nike are joining forces, announcing a 7-year exclusive sponsorship agreement between Nike and Texas Stadium.
So Jerry Jones is actually one of the
He,
first
along
people
with
ever
Phil Knight, who is the CEO of Nike, Phil Knight in a cowboy hat. Some people say he's the most powerful man in sports, running the Nike empire, and the two have linked up in a deal exclusive to the Cowboys, though Knight has said in the press release, along with Jones, he still seeks a licensing agreement for the NFL. This is a major story. Will send shockwaves throughout the National Football League.
Sponsorship.
What this does is it again, it's just another Jerry Jones deal where he's branching out and creating and extending his own marketing arm. He again wants to stress that he's just talking about creating excess revenue. He doesn't want to do away with the shared revenue concept in the NFL. You're right, this has shock tremors that are going to be felt in all the other 29 NFL cities.
So, Jerry Jones goes off, does a partnership with Phil Knight at Nike. Nike becomes the official jersey sponsor of the NFL years later. Lines the pockets of other people. Sales and service. So I work on our service team. There's about 8 of us. And I know that sales is a little bit more sexy, right? People always say, like, how do I get into sales? Do I start off in ticketing? Do I start off in premium? Do I start in service? All my internships were corporate partnership service intern. So I think there's a different process, and we can have a long, extended conversation afterwards about how you do that. But it's different. Service is the fulfillment of the assets that are sold. Like, you have a contract, X, Y, Z, legal draws it up, and then I take it and I go execute it. Will was asking me, who was kind of hosting me this weekend, was like, you know, what's your job? Well, my job is to over-deliver on those assets. If I just go and execute signage and I do like a promo and market and I, you know, throw up a radio spot, who cares? Like, that doesn't do anything for my client. They want you to be an extension of the brand, and then they want to feel like they're part of the team. It's not fun when you get that call after someone's little Ferrari that they spend 80% of their marketing budget on breaks down. So be prepared for those moments and still know you're working on a Ferrari. Like, still pretty fun. We sell air in sponsorships. You don't need them, okay? You want the emotional capital because you want to connect with the consumer, but like, literally nobody needs to have a sponsorship or a partnership. They do it because they like the Cowboys or they like the team or they like what it drives for their business. Remember that. And then your structure of sales and service is different. Kind of goes back to that culture again. And then, touched on that already, process of sales and service. I'm gonna show y'all a little clip, and I apologize in advance for the language, but I love this clip. I think it's great. All right. When you watch this, think just how cut and dry it is.
You can sell anything, sell me this fucking pen right here. You can sell anything, sell that. Sell me that pen.
Can I finish eating first? I need.
Brad, show him how it's done. Boom. Sell me that pen. Watch. Go on.
You sell this fucking pen?
That's my boy right there.
This man.
Fucking sell anything.
Would you do me a favor? Write your name down on that napkin for me.
I don't have a pen.
Exactly. Supply and demand.
What I'm saying is creating urgency to get them to want to buy this stuff. It's something that they need. You know what I mean?
Alright, I'm not telling y'all to go be slimy guys who sell people bad penny stocks. Alright? What I am telling you is have that hustle about yourself. Like, that guy's got a little bit of something, right? Like, he's sitting there, he's chowing down, like, he's talking like this, you know. He's like, write down your name. I don't have a pen. Like, there's just a little bit of, like, finesse to it, right? Like, when you're doing sales and service, like, you gotta have a little bit of something, right? And I love the way that the first guy is too busy eating, okay? Like, so many of y'all in life, like Kevin talked about it yesterday too, you got a call and he's like, nah, I don't really want to go. Why are you not taking every opportunity and diving in head first, right? Like, selling a pen is not hard, but he didn't even want to try, okay? You've got to try and give it everything you got. Assets, when we talk about an asset mix and a partnership, kind of outside of that outfield wall and throwing up a logo, this is kind of what I would say is a standard mix of assets and partnerships. You got stuff in stadium, so you got AT&T Stadium, right? What can we show on game day? What can we show at third-party events? What gives branding to that mass market, that 100,000 people who come in there on game day? You got your TV and radio. Pretty traditional mediums. People are kind of going away from that. There's kind of a misconception that millennials don't watch TV. They do, they're just selective. Digital, where everybody wants to be, that's where y'all can really show value. And you gotta understand it. Just throwing out numbers is not the way to go. Like saying, hey, we had this many likes on our Instagram post, okay? Did that drive ROI for your product? Did that drive ROI or emotional capital? I don't know. In market, you can go into your local Albertsons or, God, what's a grocery store here? Awesome. Go in your local Publix. And they've got, a setup of your Dr. Pepper cans, and there's something there where if you buy Dr. Pepper and you have on your Seminoles jersey, you get 10% off right at the register. You can do that. And then you have your standard kind of activations, which are either boots on the ground, at an event or at a game. What you have to remember is all these different elements, and then there's more out there, but that's going to be different for every partner. Like, I work with a partner, the official ham and bacon of the Dallas Cowboys. Love that designation, right? Pettit Jean Meats. Their asset mix and what they want is way different from Bank of America and AT&T, okay? AT&T naming rights partner. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Like, what they need to work in their partnerships is so different from Pettit Jean Meats. So don't get stuck in this cookie cutter mentality. I think you get that a lot where you find something that works and you just want to go sell it. You're like, God, this works. I got my first sale. It was awesome. Be able to understand what the partner is telling you and what they actually need. I drink a lot of the blue Kool-Aid. Okay? I believe in what the Cowboys are. I grew up in Dallas. I think it's awesome. If I come up to you and I'm trying to sell something and I talk like this, yeah, we can put something together for you. I think that would work. You're not going to believe me. You're not going to think that what I'm selling you that has this X price tag on it for a Ferrari is going to work. You have to be willing to believe in what you're selling. And if you're not excited about the product in general, you're not going to sell it. No one is going to buy from someone who they don't trust in believing in what they're selling. This is our new world headquarters. I would love for y'all to come visit. I'm going to show y'all a little bit about it. This is kind of the belief of the Jones family and what they built and what they're doing at the Cowboys. Stayed up for a total of 48 hours when we opened this place. I ended up sleeping under my desk. We had a quadruple header of high school football with our public-private partnership with the city of Frisco and their high schools there. I work for an NFL team. I'm working on high school games. Seems a little weird, right? 18-year-old kids are walking into this facility playing football, and I'm in charge of the sponsorship for that. Well, as a Texan and as a Dallas side, that's really cool. But is that outside my job description a little bit? Yeah, probably. This should get you fired up at what you can believe in. Mr. Jones calls it daydreaming. When he was a senior in college playing for the Razorbacks, they went down to the Astrodome. You stand inside the Astrodome and he's like, man, we didn't build this, Nico built this, right? It didn't just show up out of thin air. It happened. That's the whole reason that this is around. The reason the star was built was because he believed in daydreaming. When y'all go to sleep at night and you're laid down on the pillow, what are you daydreaming about? What are you thinking about? Do I have the capability to build $1 billion facility and have high school kids come in there and play football? I don't know. What do you really want to do? I think about this a lot. I'm at the premier organization in all sports, right? Forbes listed as the top valuation when it comes to billions, $4.2 billion. I need to change my mentality and believe that I can do this. I believe that I can work there, but then I go create it on my own. Alright, so I'm going to land this plane and I'm going to take questions because I know y'all are probably tired of hearing me talk. Alright, kind of back to that emotional capital thing. Brands are always going to want to be around people that want to buy their product, that are part of something bigger than themselves, that build emotion inside of you. Brands always want to do that. So what can you create from a sponsorship standpoint, from a partnership standpoint that does that? every time I go out, whether it's with my buddies or it's part of a work event, I talk football. I talk about this week when we're playing the Chiefs. Yeah, God, shouldn't have gone out so late last night. I talk about football, right? So like, I pick up the phone and someone's like, man, like that's a tough loss yesterday. How are the boys doing? Zeke gonna play? On and on and on and on. It's like, God, that's my life. But you have to be an extension of that. Whatever brand you're working for, or whatever team you're working for, like you just gotta get used to it. You gotta love it. Like, what's cooler than that? You know, I could be talking about 401k plans and nothing against people in the financial sector, but like, I think this is a little bit sexier, a little bit fun. 5 sales rules, we'll get to that in just a second. Let's show you just a couple of like compelling brand things and where I think sponsorship is going. Anybody play e-gaming? Anybody compete? Got someone? Anyone else? They sold out Madison Square Garden for Counter-Strike.
Everybody got a target tonight.
Harvey's, you know those commercials we have in me? They have a sponsorship, we have a mask.
We're all very excited about Turner.
Like, this is ridiculous to me. I grew up playing NBA football, they don't make me where it's really sad.
We've been doing this so long to the mainstream.
It blows my mind that there's sponsorship in a league for e-gaming. People signing autographs, are you kidding me?
The Turner pot is $1.2 million.
They make money.
This is why the Americans here. See how they were sharing watching some
Video game get like shot up. It's ridiculous. If you don't think that that's where sponsorship is going, and that's like the route that people can take this, brands want to be around something that is compelling. You sell out Madison Square Garden, one of the most historic venues in the entire world, it's got emotional capital. Alright, who watched the World Series? Alright, do we have any Astros fans? Any Dodgers fans? Anybody heartache? Alright. I hope the MLB hasn't used their
47 big league games this year.
Anybody watch this game?
You can run. Bregman would like to get him to scamper home. 2 on, 2 out. 10th inning. That's in the air to left. Here comes Fisher. Throw by Ethier. Expos win it in 10.
Y'all hear that roar? 10th inning. Bottom of the 10th extra inning World Series. Yeah, I got chills like standing up here, right? Like, that was one of the most exciting baseball games I've ever watched in my entire life. If I'm a salesperson for the Houston Astros, I'm taking that highlight and I'm sending it to every one of my corporate partners. I'm reaching out to someone in the digital team and I'm having them dress it up. And like, I'm talking to the corporate partner that next day about renewing, about upsell, anything. 5 sales rules. Jerry Jones special. Okay? Number 1, ask for the money. I forgot the rest. Okay? Don't be afraid to ask someone for money. Be willing to do it. You want to sell? Sell. You get to that final PowerPoint slide, boom, price tag, right there. You want to be a part of this? You want to see that Bregman walk-off hit? Pay for it. Okay? Thank you.
Let's take some questions from Hunter. We've got a few minutes for him to answer some questions.
And I'll talk to you about anything except for if Dak is going to get you fantasy points.
Right here. Raise your hand high.
In the back?
Right here.
Yes, ma'am.
So my question to you is, do you feel like you're being fulfilled by your job, and what's the most fulfilling part of it, and what's a little less satisfying of your job?
Sure. Answer yes, I do feel fulfilled by my job. There are days, no matter what industry you're in or what job you're working on, where you're just going to be beat and you're going to be tired. And you work long hours and you miss out on stuff that your friends are doing. So yeah, that's tough, but when I get to stand down on the field before kickoff and everybody else is up in the stands, like, it gives you a little something. It's pretty cool. Second part of your question, most rewarding part of my job is, I'll give you a story. I like stories. I'm walking into the Ford Center after being up for 48 hours before I go to sleep under my desk. And there's a little boy, he's probably 6 years old, and he's walking in with his parents to go watch, what I assume is his older brother play high school football, or his older sister cheer, whatever. And he's like, wow. He goes, Mom, do I get to play down there? She's like, you will someday, son. You will someday. Are you serious? Like, I'm literally like choking up. Like, maybe it's just because I'm emotionally like tired and stressed. I'm like, wow, like this 6-year-old kid is really jacked up about like what we built, and we built it because it has the name Ford Center, and our partners leaned in and helped us build this amazing facility, right? The most trying parts of my job are the nights where I'm there till 11:30 and I haven't seen my girlfriend or haven't seen my mom. My mom shoots me a text like, I wish I could hug you, and you're like, again, you're like, oh my God, like, I want to hug too, Mom. Those times are tough, but I think overall it's more rewarding than not. What else y'all got? I'll
Other
shoot you
question.
straight.
Right here.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's my microphone.
I know you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. I know you work for the Dallas Cowboys, but are you more of a Dallas Cowboy fan or a Texan?
So I think that's actually a really good question, more towards career, and I'll answer it in a little different way. You can't be so much a fan of the team you work for. Because if you get too high or too low, like last year was awesome. We won a lot of games, and we had Dak and Zeke, and they're rookies, and it's great. Like this year, just over 500, it's a little bit tougher. So yes, I love winning. I hate losing more than anything in the world. That's just the competitive nature inside of me. I love the Cowboys because I'm from there. I have nothing but respect for the Texans organization. I think wherever you go work, like you gotta be invested. You gotta have a little bit of like emotional capital yourself and the team that's playing on the field each week. So love the Cowboys, have nothing but respect for the Texans, probably lean Cowboys. I'm from Dallas, so.
Is there a question, Hunter?
Yeah, you mentioned that you were working for the high school kids, and it was not part of your job description. It seems like you've been around a lot, and you're on 26 years. How do you know when you're like just getting taken for a ride, and when's the time to hop off and move to the next job?
Really good question. I think that video camera's recording back there, so no, I'm kidding. In that touchstone video that it showed, there was a quote on it inside the star. It says, it's a privilege, not a right, to play, coach, and work for the Dallas Cowboys. It's a privilege, not a right. I am extremely blessed that people believed in me enough to get me to where I am and help me there. And I'm extremely blessed that the Jones family built up and took Coach Landry's platform, the Cowboys organization, and took it and built another level to this kind of potential ceiling of where you can go in sports. You have to have that mentality, so I don't ever feel like I'm being taken for a ride. And I feel that way because of the people that helped me and the people that I work for right now, right? Like the culture at the Cowboys is incredible, bar none. I could go somewhere else and I could probably be, a director of sponsorships for a smaller property or somewhere else. Does that really help me in my career? I don't know. You gotta weigh it. I think that's more of an internal thing. You gotta have other people that you can use as sounding boards and talk to. Working kind of in high school football, no, that's not part of my job description as an NFL team, but does it help me get better? And is it something that I think I'm good at, being from Texas and having played high school football? Yeah, I get it. You'll know when the time to move on is when those three things, when I was like, what makes you happy? Who do you work for? And those things aren't checked anymore. It's not clicking the box. That's when you need to go.
Good morning, I'm Jacob.
Good morning, Jacob.
So I have a question. Outside of looking at a resume or outside of looking at a job description, can you give us 2 words that would make a successful person in corporate partnerships have the it factor?
Passion. I can't make you care, but if you care, you're going to be good at your job, right? You gotta have passion. You gotta be competitive. Like, brands will only spend dollars with people that they like, with people they feel like can drive the needle for them in terms of ROI. And if you work for the Dallas Mavericks and I work for the Cowboys, or you work for the MLS and you work for the NBA, or you work for E-League, it's like, man, there's a lot of people coming to those sponsors asking for money. So you gotta be willing to hustle and go get it. Competitiveness, passion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hunter, you know, we met, what was it, last year?
Yeah,
I guess it
about a
was.
year.
And here you are, speaking to our students, and I think you hit it right on the head. You definitely, when I saw you speak, you definitely have, for me, and I thought I had passion. You're subtle, but yet you're passionate, and I wish I had a little more subtle to offer some of our students in terms of that. But the other thing I would offer that is passion, and I can't agree with you more. You definitely showcased that when we had the opportunity to visit you in Dallas, and I personally can't thank you enough for taking my invitation and our invitation to be here today. So with that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Tom Block, and thank you.
Thanks,
Give it
guys.
up.
I've got, not this road yet, I've got a couple questions, because we're a little ahead of schedule, so.
Free time.
Free time. So first of all, NBA teams this year have corporate logos on their jerseys, some of them.
Yeah.
So how far out are we from the NFL going that route? And when they do you see it being a league-wide thing, or will teams be able to cut their own deals?
Everybody wants their piece of the pie, okay? Whenever you're talking dollars and somebody's involved, like, everybody wants a little bit of something. That's why you as a salesperson care about what your commission is. That's why owners get a certain amount and then they rev share, right? That's why players in the NFLPA have collective bargaining agreements. They have guaranteed contracts in MLB. They don't in the NFL. When you talk about logos and what that means from a revenue standpoint, you're talking about TV visibility. Well, that's changing a lot as kind of cord cutting goes on and as people change how they view the NFL and they consume the product. You're probably, if I had to put a ballpark on it, I guess next time the collective bargaining agreement comes up, that'll probably be a hot button item for owners, because that's the biggest thing you can do. I mean, you sell naming rights, and naming rights to venues sell for tens of millions of dollars. Well, I guarantee if you took that valuation that someone puts Goodyear on the Cleveland Cavs jersey, well, once LeBron retires, right, what happens to that value? People aren't watching the Cavs as much. So that's going to play in a lot, but you're probably up for the next collective bargaining agreement.
And then another question I was thinking of as you talked, you mentioned you worked briefly, I guess, for the Austin Spurs and the D-League.
Yeah.
Most people don't end up at, an iconic place like the Dallas Cowboys at your age. I mean, you're pretty much Yankees, Cowboys, Lakers, Man U, whatever the top franchises are out there. So that, I would think, opens a lot more doors for you because of the power of the star, but it also probably ups the stakes on what numbers you have to meet and that sort of thing. So I'm just asking you to expound upon that, because it's completely different to be working minor league where you're selling something that might be where a family goes on Friday night because they live in a small town, compared to selling the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. I love minor leagues. Don't shy away from it. Where I said, you got to find your culture, your fit that's right for you. And minor leagues are great. You wear so many different hats and you learn so much. So I think that taught me a ton to be successful at my job currently. When you have that star on your business card, that's pretty exciting. I love that. I think it's fun. The stakes are higher. There's kind of, that expectation to drive revenue and sponsorship. But from a personal standpoint, nothing that my boss tells me, nothing that the Cowboys are about can change what's inside here. I have to, if I'm gonna talk about it, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I work for the Cowboys, be about it. Go crush it, go work really, really hard. There's people who I work with that make me better because, they push me every day. I'm like, man, I wanna be like that person. You gotta have people who set benchmarks, and you gotta be the one who's the pace setter in front, right? Y'all ever seen an Indian run? Where it's the person at the back runs all the way up to the front, and then it just keeps going. That's kind of how sports sponsorships and sales has to be. Somebody's got to see somebody go get a new sale and a partnership. The person at the back's got to be all right, boom, sprint. It's kind of how I feel day to day. It's man, where am I going to be? Am I going to be that person who goes up and tries to lap the next person, or am I just going to sit in the middle and get left behind?
Any other questions for Hunter, and then I'll let him off the hook.
Yes, sir.
Hi Hunter, my name's Zach, how are you?
Hey, Zach, I'm doing great, man.
Hi, so quick question. So how much of a correlation is there between your department as far as partnerships and social media for the Dallas Cowboys? How does social media impact how you're selling your product?
Yeah. I love our social media team. If y'all don't follow them on Instagram, I think they have one of the best products out there. Instagram is, we don't really brand that a lot, but I would go check it out. In terms of our correlation, like, I meet with them probably on a bi-monthly basis to talk about my partner fulfillment and how it's tracking. And then in terms of like cool ideas, I think in a sponsor standpoint, you can get really siloed. Like I said, cookie cutter. I can kind of think of what I want to sell and how a brand can like it, but they're so much more creative than me. Like, I'm the corporate guy in the suit, right? I take the package deal that they put together and I go sell it. Like, you have to bring those people in the loop, and creative types are different than kind of how you want to sell. So bringing them into the fold, making them feel part of the process is really important.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Any more questions?
Bathroom break, everyone.
Well, Hunter will be here. One more round of applause for.